Namaste to all my viewers and the audience watching over there. Before I start today's recipe, I want to thank you all for the love you have showered on my channel. It has grown so well in just few days. Keep me supporting so that I can be encouraged to bring more and new and wonderful recipes. And today's episode is a pinata cake. This cake is going to be with the filling and not the hollow one where the breaking of shell with hammer is done and the sweet goodies pops out, which is also known as the smash cakes. That's very popular. The cake I'm making rather can be called as a giant cake circle. Anyways, cake in any form is everyone's favorite. I had shot the entire video from scratch so that I can share all the tips, tricks, techniques and my experiences. Making the dough itself is such a delicate task and needs a bit of practice. In my past, I had already broken the dough and that's what my learning experience was from there. So let's not wait more and get started. And before we start, I would like to show you my first trials. This was a simple semi-sphere smash cake with the edible stickers on them. I made this for my both kids just for the fun sake, and obviously they loved it breaking with the hammer. And let's go with the recipe right now. For the sponge, I have used pristine premix. This is the vanilla flavor. Just adding dark cocoa powder to the mixture and just about a spoonful. And I'll be adding little water and mix it very gently so that I don't incorporate any of the bubbles into them. And be sure to break all the lumps. We need to have a very smooth batter, and once you have put the water into it and mixed it very well, I'll put the oil into it. We will fold the batter into the oil very smoothly and gently. In general, the commercial premixes are very different in texture and as compared to the homemade ones. They altogether very different chemistry. For the sponge here, I have used 160 grams of flour, and to it I added 15 grams of oil and 90 grams of water. That makes about in total 190 grams of sponge in weight after baking. I had poured the batter into a 6-inch tin and I baked it for 35 minutes at 180 degrees centigrade. Later I let it cool into my OTG itself, and before I run my knife on the edge and demold it. Peeling off the butter paper on the back very gently. I should say this sponge is really very light in weight, spongy, soft and with no cracks on the top. I let it cool, then cling wrap it all around and keep it aside for my next use. And now let's move on to make our chocolate pinata dough. For that, I have used about 200 grams of white chocolate compound, which I have already chopped, and I'll put it in the microwave for about 30 seconds. Repeating this process thrice till the chocolate has fully melted, left with no lumps or chunks. Keep stirring once the bowl is taken out of the microwave while it's hot, so that the solid chocolate turns into a very smooth and thin liquid. During my second heating, I added white oil candy color to lighten the milky white shade of the chocolate to more bright white. The chocolate is all ready and done now. Pouring this melted liquid chocolate into the hot mold, turning on all the sides so that the chocolate runs all over till the edge and the bottom. Use a spoon to help the chocolate stick onto the tiny grooves and spaces. Since the hot mold is too big and it has too many groove of lines, so the chocolate tends to drip down at the center. It will need a lot of patience to smear on the sides. When I had done this using the semi-sphere mold before in the past, it was damn simple and easy to handle with. So be patient, practice well, and you will be perfect later. Once happy with the layering, turn upside down and take out the excess of the chocolate from the mold. Clean the edges with a knife and then go on with the second layer all over again, chilling it back in the refrigerator for about 3 to 4 minutes for it to set into semi-hard. Don't chill for more than 3 to 4 minutes each time, else you may break it while removing from the mold while demolding it. The chocolate is now stiff and hard to be taken out. Loosen the sides very gently as the sides are so fragile to break. I kept my finger crossed while removing this heart because in the past I had already broken one of the heart as I had shown you in the video before in the pic. A very great sense of relief when the whole heart has come out so well with no breaking and no cracking at all. Putting it back into the same mold and will further do the cake filling. Now my cake has fully cooled down. I'll slice it into two halves. I'm using a very sharp edged long knife for a complete straight and crisp finish. Cut it right through the center. That's how the inner layer looks like. Smearing the bottom layer all over with the truffle sauce. Soon to come up with the next video on the different types of eggless frosting. Once piped the truffle sauce, spread it all over on all the sides and bottom to be a very thin layer. Mind you, sauce needs to be in a very thick consistency. Place the first slice dripping simple sauce all over it again so that the sponge gets soaked up very well. Once done, start with one more layer of truffle sauce all over again. I'm soaking the second layer before I put the slice onto the bottom layer. Soaking the cake is always what I always do. It keeps my sponge soft for a longer time. Once you had put the sponge onto the heart, press it well and fill all the gaps and spaces with the leftover truffle sauce again. If you are using any different type of mold, you may have to check with the size and do the sponge slicing layering of the sauce and the sponge accordingly. For the heart which I am using right now, I had done 2 layers of sponge and 3 layers of thin truffle sauce all over. And you have to make sure that all the layers of sponge and sauce fully fits inside the dome very well. When the cake is ready, I will flip it onto the cake board. Be very careful with handling the mold while being peeled off again from the top of the cake. It has a tendency to break. The top chocolate layer is too fragile. Now dripping the threads on top of the heart with melted chocolate. Secure all the sides with the same butter paper to reduce the mess. Now going on with dusting the silicone mold with the corn flour. I am doing a pearl string border around the cake. This red fondant is all homemade, which I prefer over the ready-made ones. I had used red gel color to dye the fondant. I did this a day earlier so that the color gets intensified with the time it rests. Since it's being summer season and I am working in my kitchen, my fondant is catching a lot of moisture. I live in a place where it is very humid climate throughout the year and I always face this problem. At times I try to work in my AC room, but right now that's not available for me. I had to put little bit of Tyler's powder to my homemade fondant to avoid it from going and sagging in its shape. You can also use CMC powder in place of Tyler's. I get a lot of questions from my followers regarding the fondant issues they face. I'll try to make a complete video regarding all the issues and the recipe for the fondant. Let me know if you all also facing the same issues, same problems with the fondant while working with it, and do comment me where you hail from and which country and city you live in. I'll be happy to know that. And I think it makes a difference when you live in a very dry climate as compared to the humid ones where I live. Humidity and moisture do affect the fondant to a very large extent. Even this fondant, what you see, is so soft that I was finding it so difficult to work with. It's a bit of hard work to unmold it from the silicone mold. Even my lightest and slightest touch are flattening all the round pearls. So I had to redo it again and again. And that's why you can see me using right good amount of corn flour to demold all my fondant from the silicone mold. Sticking the fondant string on the dome border with the help of melted chocolate. Don't worry about the corn flour on the fondant. Just brush it off using dry brush and it will be gone. For the heart essence, rolling out the white fondant. Added the white gel color to this fondant and kneaded it very well. I did it a day prior as I have done for the red one. I always cling wrap them and keep it in my shelf. Using a heart shape cookie cutter, I'll cut the fondant. Finishing off all the sides and the edges with a clean brush and knife. This also helps my edges to do with the unclean cuts and blunt all the edges. And then I had used a thin brush, the back of the thin brush point, pushing it to the edges to give the scallop heart shape. So there is no need to buy a scallop mold cutters. The most simplest way to get the scallop shapes. On the top of the white heart, I will roll out and cut another red heart, and that too will be a scallop one. Later I will press a stamp against the red heart. You see, I had rolled out second time the same red one fondant as I made a mistake to stamp after cutting. It should have been done rather first stamping and then cutting with the cutter and then shaping it into a scallop shape. And you see, it's always good to learn from our own mistakes. To highlight the stamp text, painting the inner lines of the text with gold dust mixed in edible alcohol. A bit challenging, but this will enhance the font to stand out very well with the heart label. Taking my own sweet time to finish this last task. And my final step to finish the cake with all edibles and non-edible embellishments, and with few of golden balls here and there, and with golden leaf all over in the center around the flowers. These flowers which are placed on the top of the cake are the non-edible ones. I hope I could serve my purpose to show you how to make pinata cake right from the scratch to the finish. And if you are going to try this one, do drop me a comment with your link where you have posted the cake, and I would love to see that. So stay tuned for my next video, and I'll see you soon. Until then, happy baking and happy cooking. Bye bye.